I have so many questions about charts and no one to help me. If only there was a place I could go to learn which doesn't cost a fortune.
There is such a place. It's my Patreon. It's £7.50 a month and you get 2 live streams a week. Ask me anything you like about any chart that you want.
What about trading platforms?
Well, in the video description I've got a link for all the best ones and you can get up to 20% off all your trading fees for life.
Thanks CryptoClick, you demand bro.
Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look. I can't believe I'm doing this. Can't even say it. We're going to have a look at EOS, alright? So there's something happened on EOS which doesn't normally happen. And actually we haven't seen anything like this happen to anything in ages, and I wouldn't expect to see this kind of signal happen on anything for ages. And it sort of, I suppose, makes sense to happen on an EOS chart because it's been such a slow bleed that it has allowed for this type of signal to be generated. Although you have to, I'm going to give you both sides to it. Okay, so the signal is on the Bitcoin pair, so EOS to Bitcoin. So the signal to start with is a trend signal on a daily as well, so quite powerful if we were to take it seriously. So we've got a cross. Ichimoku conversion baseline cross, we've got the prices above the cloud, and the cheeky span is above the price. So they're the three things that we look at for a continuation of a trend. That trend was formed around this level, which is also the 200 exponential on the daily. So this, unlike a lot of coins, really, we don't really see many of them clearing this level at the moment. You wouldn't expect to see any of them clear this level in this kind of trading environment, which is effectively bearish, downtrend, bear market, whatever you want to call it. You wouldn't really expect anything to even come to revisit it, but we have for EOS. We've come down to revisit it and get rejection from it as well, which is something fair enough. So we've had this buy zone in here for EOS for a little while, and I think it's reasonable to expect us to come back down into it. And if we do come down into it, we have to evaluate the situation to see if this this signal is still valid, because the things that you would look for would be for the blue to cross the red to cancel it out, or this cheeky span to touch price action, which obviously is in the buy zone, and if that happens, then this is a failed trend. Now obviously I am talking about EOS here, which does come with a lot of risk, just because it is. And I'm going to show you something to probably think of. You might want to talk yourself out of going in on that trade unless you have to kind of wait to see if that is still valid after a certain pullback has occurred. And the reason there might be a pullback, we're looking here on EOS's 3 daily. The money flow index peaked at 84. Now in the past, we don't generally like being this high at all for EOS. Really, this is the second highest it's ever been. And if we just go back in time to look at when these things do get high, we go high, pullback, high, pullback, high, pullback, high, pullback. These money flow indexes more or less spot the peaks of these EOS moves, and each time we get a money flow index of this, even less than where we are right now, you do get a pullback. And EOS, if anything, loves to pull back, right? It loves to give up all the gains, so every single time basically. And this is quite a high read on the money flow index, so I would expect a pullback, right? So this pullback on the tether pair could take us to a whole new range of places, and we're not particularly bothered about the tether pair. We're focusing on the Bitcoin pair to see if this signal stays valid. And like I say, the cheeky span coming down on a daily would need to come down into the price action and close there. We could have wicks down to the bottom area, and then we bounce from there and we close above. The cheeky span closes above price action. That would still be a valid uptrend signal. That's fine, but we have to recognize that it does like to pull back on the tether pair at these exact levels, and these pullbacks aren't small; they're pretty big. So I thought I'd put it out there. This is the first time I've seen a daily chart generate this kind of signal. These are the sort of things that we'll be looking for coming into the end of this year, into next year, hopefully when the Bitcoin dominance is a much higher read, because that's where alt seasons and large continuations will take place. And I wouldn't really be expecting to see signals like this at all anyway. If we start seeing more, we'll start seeing more of these signals, later on down the line, and this is where we get the, the 5, 10, 50, 100x's from, basically. But to see one happen right now for EOS as we push this 200 exponential is an interesting event. Let's face it, it's an interesting event. It's worth keeping an eye on it to see where this goes, because I know EOS is very unpopular, and I can understand why. But when EOS does set up signals in the right trading environment, it does go quite significantly. We made the most out of this one. We did really well out of this trend. This is just the Bitcoin pair, but if we take it over to the Tether pair, you know, this is something that we were focused on quite a lot when we came out of this descending triangle. We also got exactly one of those signals that we've been talking about, where we got it on the weekly. And it was that weekly signal where people were talking about we had this big move up and then a big dump down. We got exactly the same signal that I'm talking about on the daily here on the weekly. And as people were saying it was a failed uptrend, I said absolutely not. This uptrend is really just getting started at this point now. This is a buy. Buy this. We sold around 12 or 13, so 260% over a short period of time. Even all the way up to the top, you know, could have done that. So it's not that, you know, it's the best thing you've ever seen in the world. EOS is risky and, you know, top heavy basically, but it does respond to signals, and we have got one of those there. The only problem I've got would be the high money flow read on the 3-day there, which has always found a peak. So I would be looking for a pullback and seeing if the Tether, if the Bitcoin pair still remains an appropriate uptrend signal. And then maybe it'd be worth playing. This isn't a derivatives play though, by the way, because you can't really transfer the information from the Bitcoin pair to what it's actually going to be valued in against USDT. So you can't really make a futures trade on this. Nor would I advise you do futures trading anyway. But this is more of a who's best, Bitcoin or EOS. And with this kind of setup and signal, it would suggest that EOS would be the better position to hold. But I would still wait for the retest, the dump, basically, which is almost certainly going to take place maybe this week. But if it doesn't, and we get above this 200 exponential on the daily for EOS, it looks like this trend will continue. And then the only way we would ever think about getting out of that would be for the exit signal that you get given on the Ichimoku cloud. Anyway, I'm sure you all know about how to use the Ichimoku cloud. If not, I've got all the tutorials on my YouTube and on the Patreon and on the Discord, so feel free to look at those so you can understand the signals better. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day and take it easy.